So we're going to start pulling the engine out of our 2013 BMW. This morning I'm going to start by draining all of my fluids. I'm going to get engine oil, diff oil. I'll drain the transmission oil as well because I want to pull the torque converter and drain it when the engine is out. That's one of the only chances you get to really get a full fluid flush. So I'm going to get at it. Just looking to see if I can see any chunks coming out of the oil. But somebody's already looked at this car and I'm sure they've already drained the oil, so if there's any damage it's probably sitting in the bottom of the oil pan because the oil's coming out pretty clean. So I'm going to drain my transmission pan. This is a 10mm Allen head plug. That's pretty nasty looking.
Why?
It's just all dark. Should be a nice bright red. But it's got 113,000 I think on this car. So it's probably never had the transmission oil drained before. Next one is going to be the front differential. This is going to come out with the engine. I have a drive shaft up here that's going to get disconnected. So I want to get the oil out of this while it is up in the air, and so I don't have to deal with it on the bench. Looks pretty clean. Nice color to it. A little bit of sludge starting to come out now, but all in all, pretty good. So I've already taken off just some of the plastic on top, the air filter housing, and the one pipe that comes across the top. Next thing I want to try and do is get the antifreeze out of it. There is no drain plug on this, so it's not an easy task. I need to get to the bottom radiator hose, which is going to be down there. So I'm going to get some of the support structure off, see if I can get the cooling fan out, and just kind of keep digging in and taking things apart. So what I've done is I've just taken the front of the car off, the plastic pieces on either side, just to give me more room to work. I probably could have peeled them up a little bit, but it was pretty easy to pop them off, and that way I didn't risk breaking anything. What I'm going to do, this is our radiator assembly with our cooling fan, top radiator hose. Our bottom hose is going to be down there a little further, but just so I can get access, I just pulled all of this off and I'll work out. I'll start seeing if I can get the fan assembly out. Normally you can slide these up. They're usually designed to pop out. I can see there's one Torx head screw that holds an air charge pipe down there. We'll get that off and see where it goes from there. So there's two plastic clips that are holding this on. I'm just going to use my screwdriver to kind of pop it and pop it up on this side. And then I'm going to go over to the other side. And see if we can pop this little clip without breaking it. So it's hung up on our turbocharger pipe. There was a little rubber block that I'd already taken the screw out, but it was just kind of getting stuck on it, so I was able to lift it out, pop it out, and it kind of feels like it might come up. And that's our cooling fan connection. I'd have previously unplugged this. This is just a major 2-pin plug, and it is right here, and it sits right there. So I've just unplugged that, peeled it off to the side. And of course the power is all disconnected on this car. So this is the lowest hose on my radiator. It's a pretty small hose. So I'm going to go ahead and pop this wire clip, and with a small awl it'll just move up, and then that'll slide off. I'm going to leave my intercooler pipe on because our intercooler is directly below the radiator, and I don't want to fill it up with a bunch of antifreeze unnecessarily, and we'll let this sit and drain. Up here's a better view. We're going to drain a little bit out of that side, and then there's another one over there that will pop and get the other side. Yep. It all drained out. Always helps if you get the right fit. Doesn't look like there's any gas in it. Well, that was fast because there was no gas in the system. So somebody's already been in here, and we kind of figured that. We bought this car as a distressed car, so I'm sure somebody's already taken a bunch of stuff apart because there's a lot of loose items on this engine as well. So we're going to just keep going forward, and I'm going to get the whole radiator assembly out now. So I've just been undoing all of my AC pipes from the condenser here and the compressor. I got the suction line ready to pull out, and I'm just kind of getting this stuff out of my way. And all of this is kind of moving forward so I can get the last of the stuff off the radiator assembly. You can see I've still got some other transmission cooler lines here I need to disconnect, get this radiator hose out of the way. I've got my turbo boost pipe, but as I start moving stuff away, everything kind of opens up and makes it easier to see what I'm removing and what needs to come out. So I'm going to remove the oil cooler lines. The way these work is there's this little metal clip right here, and you can hook it with either a small screwdriver or I got a little awl, and all I want to do is just kind of work them up on both sides so they stick up. They can come out, but they don't always. Then there'll be an O-ring joint in there, and then when I pull it out, we're going to lose some transmission oil. But that's it. That's all you need to do to disconnect this stuff, and then just snap this O-ring back on, because when you go to reinstall, all you got to do is push it in and push. You don't have to do anything with the snap ring. Okay, so I'm ready to pull the radiator out. A few things that you probably didn't capture on camera because I didn't have it on. Firstly, there's a plastic shield, and this shield needs to come off to be able to lift the radiator up and out. The screws for the shield, there's going to be one screw that is going to go straight down here, and is going to be right on that point right there. Then your next one, you have to actually flex the whole assembly forward, and is going to be right there is going to be the next screw. That's on this side, and it's going to be the same on the other side. You're going to have one screw down, same location, the other one's going to be flex it forward, pull it out there. That takes the plastic shield off. Then I've got everything else out. All of our pipes have been disconnected. The thermostat assembly, it has a screw that secures it. It's pretty easy to see when you look straight down. There's a T30 screw down there. You need to remove that. Slide that thermostat back out of the bracket, and that'll release the hose. So now I should be able to, all things being considered, hopefully lift our radiator up and out. And I'm just going to see if there's any more coolant, let it drain. So I want to show the back side, because we're going to be reusing it. Our radiator is not leaking. We're going to have to make sure we clean all of this debris out of here, because that's going to really hurt the engine running temperatures. So I'm going to go ahead. I've got my power steering and automatic transmission coolers. I'm going to pull these out as well, since I've now got access to all of those. I'll have to just release the clips over here on this side, and then we'll keep working down on the intercooler and try and clear this whole area so I can get the engine to pop forward when I lift it up. I've got all of the top end stuff disconnected, so intake manifold is off. This is only so I can connect up. I've got a couple of points, one here, one at the back. We don't want to break that manifold. I've got all of the electrical disconnected, all of the radiators out, all of the cooling lines out. So now I'm ready to lift it up and keep going underneath. We have axles to pull under there, exhaust to pull, and the connection to the transmission, and that's pretty much about it, and it should be ready to lift out.
What was it, babe?
Controller.
Oh.
So I've got the engine out of our 535. Still a lot of stuff to pull off. All the wiring harness, everything else. It certainly is a tight fit. I had to loosen up the rack and pinion to make sure I could clear it with the differential, because you can't get the differential out without removing the cross member. I also had to remove the left-hand engine mount bracket, because otherwise it was going to get hung up on our steering shaft here as well. So the next step now is get the engine apart and see what's failed, fix it, put it all back together.